Hello and welcome back to Wisdom of the Sages. I'm pleased to say that Reb Shlomo is back with us this week, and he gave some great insights into the Sedra of Bereshis last week. So, Reb Shlomo, what are you going to be speaking to us about today?
Well, today I'm going to talk to you about this week's Sedra, which is Noach, but I wanted to focus with the light element. That is to say, there are two types of light that appears in the course of the Sedra, which are totally disparate. And I wanted to investigate them, explore them, and see if we could, in fact, bring them together in one union.
That's fantastic. Okay, Shlomo, I'm going to leave it to you. And then at the end, we'll have a discourse about what's going to happen next week. So thanks very much, Shlomo.
That's fine. Thank you very much, Mark. Well, it's good to be with you all again today. We all know the story about Noah and the ark, that the people of the world displeased God, and he decided that he would blot out the entire creation he'd made. But he decided that Noah and his family were worthy of being saved, and so were the animal kingdom. So he asked Noah to build an ark, a 3-story edifice. But if you look at the construction of the ark, and it's set out in great detail in the Torah for us, you begin to think, well, where was the window? Where was the light coming from? Could it have been completely contained in darkness? Well, that really wouldn't work. Can you see a human being lasting very long in those circumstances? And of course, the same goes for the animal kingdom as well. So, what does it actually tell us? It says, and it's chapter 6, verse 16, for those who want to go away and check it out. It says, Tsoah ta'aseh tevo. You should make a tsoah. Well, what is a tsoah? I was looking at various translations, Mark, and you might be interested to know that one that came up time and again was a transparency. This took me back to my school days when I was thinking about tracing paper and all that sort of thing. Well, that can't be what it means. Rashi, our commentator par excellence on the Torah, comes along and tells us something I think is quite surprising. He writes that in fact there is a dispute about what it actually means. Does it mean a window? Or in fact, is it possibly a precious stone? Well, what if it's one, what if it's the other, and what's the difference? Now, Hebraeus will tell you that the word for a window is chalon, not tsoah. So, is this a window or is it not? Well, two of the other great commentators come along and offer us what appears to be a different perception. Bartanura, who wrote in the 16th century and is to some extent a commentary on Rashi, says this, that the word tsoah is in fact related to sohoroim, which is noontime. And what he tries to explain for us is this, that there was some sort of aperture in the roof of the ark which let the light in when it hit midday. Okay, let's say we go with that. But so what? Why can't it be all the time? And the Bartanura says that being in this ark, and remember that they went into it without any time limit. Nobody knew how long they were going to be in there as the waters cascaded down, the flood came, and so on. So this strength of light at the maximum of the day would give some sort of resilience to the people, some sort of hope. And that's what he thinks it was all about. Well, along comes the Malbim, a 19th century commentator who disagrees. Well, what a surprise. Two rabbis having a disagreement. You never hear that, do you? And he says like this, that the word tsoah is related to the word zarit, which is some sort of precious stone which gave out an illumination and thus lit up the interior of the ark. All right? Another perfectly plausible explanation. But what they seem to have in common is that these two forms of whatever light they were doing exactly that. They were bringing some form of physical light and also emotional light, some sort of hope that, if you like, we in this ark will get through this. We will get past the flood. We will come out and life will somehow be better. Hold that thought for a minute. Just put it away, and we're going to come back to it a little bit later. Let's move on. As we know, they did come through it, and they got to the other end, if you like. They came out, and God said, well, now you are going to repopulate the earth. Never again, says God in chapter 9, will I seek to destroy the world by flood. And to support that, God showed how his promise would be kept. He would set his bow in the sky, and we know it as the rainbow. But, and there's always a but, isn't there? But if you look at chapter 9, verse 11, he says that he will do this l'doros olam, for all generations. Now this word l'doros, the root is dur, dalad vav resh, which means a generation. Now if you look at the way the word is written in the Torah, it's actually defective. There's a vav missing before the final letter, the sof at the end. There's a vav missing. So Rashi comes along and says, oh, or worse to that effect, this doesn't look right. This word is defective. Why is that? And Rashi helps us. He explains that it's all very well having a generation which is strong in its faith. But if you have a generation which is weak in its faith, it may need to see some sort of sign from God. And that's where the rainbow comes in. In fact, some people have a custom, if they see a rainbow in the sky, they won't tell anybody else, because it's an indication that we're in a generation which is weak in our faith. That's a custom. I don't think it's a rule, but it's an interesting insight. So there we are. I said we'd start off by looking at different lights. Now let's just examine from a scientific point of view what happens when you take a single ray of light and refract it through a prism. You get effectively the rainbow. Now, when I was at school, it's a long time before you were, Mark. When I was at school, we learnt as follows: Richard of York gave battle in vain. I'll say that again. Richard of York gave battle in vain. You take the initial letters, ROYGBIV, and you get the colours of the rainbow. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet. And that is what I had to remember for my physics O-level. There were O-levels in those times. Okay, so we're left with these two types of light. One, a single form illuminating, the other, multicoloured, multifaceted. And that really is an indication of the Jewish people. We are all one light. But each one of us has some sort of colour, some sort of quality that we can bring in to the community. And when you take all of them together, you get unity, you get strength, and you have faith. And that's what it's all about. Thank you very much, Mark.
Well, I'm sure you'll all agree that that was very inspirational. Thanks very much, Reb Shlomo. So I'm pleased to say that Reb Shlomo is going to be with us over the next few weeks to discuss the first few chapters of the Seder of Bereshis. And maybe you'll let us know, Shlomo, what we got to look forward to next week.
Okay, well, next week, life moves on. We've had 10 generations from Illumination, from Adam to Noah. We then move another 10 generations and we come to our progenitor, Abraham. And Abraham comes onto the stage, and he is the first person who really shows what faith is all about. He's the first person who comes along and recognizes the position that he is in relation to God. He's God's servant. And you might say he's the exemplar of service. And he shows how to live. He shows us midos, qualities. He and his wife Sarah, totally different to the world around them. And we're going to be looking at what they show us, even hundreds and hundreds of years later. We can learn from the way that they behave, the way they express themselves, what they do, what they say. And we're going to be looking at them and others who follow on from them and how they behave as well.
Oh, that's great. I'm sure that everyone's going to be looking forward to that. And if you like today's content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to Wisdom of the Sages. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.